Here, there's duplicate everything. Yeah, there's the native, and then there's the white. Even the church, there's native church, and white church, native Catholic church, native or white Catholic church. And I questioned that. I said, how come you guys don't go to the nice, very big, nice church? Well, they said we go to this one, little beat up and down, mold. And they were like, this is what's, because this is our church. They made them like be proud of that. I said, that's segregation. Of course, those people aren't ready for that conversation either. But I said, how come they're rebuilding? They got a new bell and all this stuff. And here you guys can't even get my entire life, the water fountain is still broken. I've never seen it work my entire life. And there's a big trash bag taped over it. Like, and that's where a lot of the wake services are. So it's like, how come the Catholic Church doesn't? If you're good enough to go to church, you're good enough to fix the water fountain. But that's just how I see it. And I'm like, nobody wants to question that? I don't go to church there, so I'm not going to question it. But you get married, you go there. Such a obvious line. And I don't know if it's like that in other reservation towns. I'm assuming it probably is. Public schools. We have 2 libraries, 2 Head Starts, 2 grocery stores, 2 workout places. It's like, they call this the Mississippi of the North. Did you see the whole thing with slave auction over in Faith, South Dakota? My husband and I always have conversations. I'm like, this shit right here, this is why. South Dakota is doing a lot better than it used to be, but there's so much work to be done. And I saw Representative Mars, this is our culture. You don't like it, don't come here. Like, and so what the hell kind of, what? And it's being said proudly, confidently. Where's, why is that? It's like, oh yeah, you know how they are. Oh, that's West River. It's like, this is why we have our own green book for the state that we know where not to go, we know which roads not to go on. Like that, growing up and you're the Indian, you guys are Bronx, you don't wash up. All of these things and getting older, I always thought it would die with the old racist people. But their kids and it's not dying. It's just, the next generation's learning it. Keep having these conversations, so the younger people know how to question or ask the question. People who want to be allies to this movement is happening. I hope they understand the role that they have to play. They have to play it. They have to be the ones to have those conversations.
So, because it's very hard. It's very hard to learn Lakota or Dakota because there's only a few language speakers that have the certification. They don't hold it all the time, and it takes a lot of repetition. The alphabet is totally different. It's just definitely harder to get to be educated on my culture, introspect it and love it and experience it and live it out in my daily life than for some others, which, whatever. But I definitely think that's something that makes me feel South Dakotan. And then I think it's something people don't understand is kind of a battle that a lot of us Native Americans are even mixed, being half, we still struggle with that. Because I've just heard that from other people too, that they're like, oh, well, I know I'm half Native American, but I didn't get to know that parent well or that culture because we moved to wherever. We moved to Sioux Falls. We didn't get to experience it. I want to connect with my roots. and it's kind of hard. I don't know where to go, what to do, blah, 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 and then we feel kind of bad that we don't know our culture. Sometimes it can be hard to find the resources to get to know it better. And it's just like a little struggle. I know me and some other friends who are Native American, we just all have talked about it. We're like, if we lived West River, it would probably be a lot easier. There'd be more resources. It's just harder over here, East River. I think that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I just need to respect it and know about it so that I can pass it down. But also, so then when I come into those situations where people are like, well, Native Americans are, when they have those stereotypes, Native Americans are just drunk and uneducated and lazy and they don't work and they just take all my taxpayer money away from me. It's like, excuse you, no. Like, from either tribe I went to, the max I could get in a year between all the benefits, all the benefits without living on the res, maybe like 1,000 or 2 or something. Like, and some people just have this idea that we can be not millionaires, but live like wealthy lives off of this stuff that we get from the government, or that we just get free houses, we get free money all the time, we get free school, it's like, no, there's a lot of stuff that you don't know about that I need to learn about that stuff to educate people. But at the same time, I need to say, here's the importance to why like we get free healthcare and why we need it and how it affects how like people coming over and taking over America truly affected our health in a way that like would never have ever happened. Like bringing sugars over from Europe that our bodies weren't used to for hundreds and thousands of years. And then just over the last like 200-300 years, our bodies have to get used to these different sugars when we were raised on more natural sugars that we found on the land. Well, that's why diabetes is like such a huge thing. Like it just wasn't in our system. We weren't used to that stuff. You introduce it into this culture and you take away our foods and you shove commodities into our closets and our grocery bags. It's like that's how like things change. That's why it's so important to understand all the history, to understand all the culture, to put people in their place when they have these horrible stereotypes. It's like, no. Like, let's talk about this. You don't get to just blame me and say, well, you got free healthcare at IHS. Wow, it would be nice to be Native. It's like, I don't like those statements. It's like, you don't get to pick and choose your culture. And it's not like I won the lottery in a sense for that, because now I get like free healthcare sometimes. No, that's not the point of me appreciating being Native. And it's like, you don't even understand all the trials and obstacles that Native American people have had to face. And you get to tell me that we should get over this and that we get taxpayer money, so it's fine, it evens out. It's like, no, it does not even out in the end. Like, it was illegal to speak Native American until like the 60s. We weren't citizens until like the late 1900s. Like, that factors into all this pain, and this free money we get is just to try and compensate for that. And it's like, that's not the same. Like, I don't even know. Like, that is just an irritating part too about being in South Dakota, I think. But it's a good motivator for me to like really know my culture, respect it, understand it, be able to, know it so well that I can share and speak on it to others, to educate them and get them to the right spots, to get them with the right mindsets and get rid of those ugly, horrible stereotypes and prejudices wherever they came from. No shame, whatever. That's just what you were exposed to. If you're exposed to the cold, you're going to get a cold. You're going to get over it. There's potential to get over it. There's potential to heal. And you can at least like have a decent convo and be open to like, oh, you aren't like what I thought you would be. You're not like that little box that I put you all in. Huh, cool. Like, I want to get you to that point, Yeah.
In that way, I really value my family at Indiana because we all think and feel the same way. And so it's, but so grounded in culture and love for our people, like across the board. So I work with people across the country, and in every one of our communities, there's just this resounding and deep love for our people. And like, that's why we do everything that we do. And so it's always nice to be able to center back to that as we navigate out in all these other complicated relationships and issues in our communities, that we come back and we remind ourselves every single Monday. We meet and we pray and we talk about these things, and we remind ourselves every single week, like, that is why we do the things that we do. And so really letting the chaos kind of fall back from what the work that we're doing, and reminding ourselves of what's important.
How does it feel to be in the Black Hills and have someone tell you to go back home?
Honestly, at that moment, we were just laughing because they were so irate that we had blocked the road for that rally. That, I mean, it was funny. And my kids are on my Snapchat. They're like, Mom, no, because I was like, we are home. And like, they're just like, no, you're not, like yelling back. And, but no, the irony is, like, we see it all the time, and it's weird to want to go out and harvest. And like, Tracy and I saw like the cedar tree, and I was like, dang, I want to get some cedar. And it's like all fenced off, and we're just like, you know what, we're gonna jump the fence and go get cedar. But it's weird to see in that context, and recognizing that our people use this place as an oasis and as a place to hold ceremonies and stuff. And there's like very little places you can go out in the Black Hills now where there's not four-wheelers all over, and motorboats, and people drinking. And so in that way, it's really like, it's just like a constant desecration of the Black Hills is what we see living here. And so that part's really hard.
And that's, what would you like people to know about your community's contribution to South Dakota?
I think that our people bring the reminder that we're all interconnected, and that our people are connected to land, to animals, to plants, to the things we eat, and to each other in a way that is acknowledged all the time. And so I do like, you know, when we talk about Midakwe Oyase, I like that as a way of just thinking about the way we interact with the world around us. And that's who we are as Indigenous people. And I think that's our legacy, you know, is just that we are good relatives to each other. And that's the best of us, and that's innately who we are.
Laughter gives us energy. Laughter gives us more time. It actually adds time to your life. So I'm giving you the information, and I'm giving you more time to change the world. You're welcome, American Theater. So the Thanksgiving play is really about performative wokeness. It's about people showing how woke they are and how enlightened they are without maybe actually being it. The format that we use for it is these four people trying to create a culturally sensitive first Thanksgiving play for children during Native American Heritage Month. And they're trying to honor all of those things while potentially honoring none of those things. As a Native American person, I'm really fortunate. I get commissioned to do a lot of plays on Indigenous history, which tends to be majority depressing at this point. And so I really wanted to write a comedy, and I really wanted to just kind of have fun in the room. And I got this fellowship. I wrote the first draft of this play in 10 days, and I've been really loving it and having a great time playing and laughing in the room. We, as Americans, have very little access to the true history of this country. It's been intentionally erased from our educational system and from popular culture. People actually want to learn about Indigenous issues. And I write plays that often have Indigenous characters in them, but I've been told again and again, we can't cast your play. It's uncastable. There are no Native actors, which isn't true, but I got tired of fighting that fight, to be perfectly honest. And I said, fine, I'm going to create a play that still deals with these Indigenous issues with all white presenting people, and say, here, American Theater, if you can't cast this, you got a problem. We're really fortunate. We have 4 cast members that are insanely funny in completely different ways. So we're doing a lot of rewriting in the room, doing a lot of just kind of responding to this cast because they're all so funny and so good. And they're making me laugh at my own play. If you can do that, that's pretty good because I've been with this thing for a while. But they also, they're willing to, look ridiculous and have fun. And that comes down to Maritz. Maritz, the director, has really created a space that allows everybody to play. The important work happens when you leave the theater. The play is just the beginning, and then everything else happens after. Is Christopher Columbus a dick?
Yes.
Well done. So I'm Larissa. I'm the playwright. I wrote this play about Thanksgiving, and I'm actually Native American. So we've got a few questions about Native Americans and Thanksgiving. Would you mind? Which Native American tribe called the island of Manhattan home? A, Iroquois, B, Wampanoag, C, Lenape, or D, Pequot?
B.
B.
C.
See, Lenape. See? You know, that's right. So few Americans actually know that. Actually, the area we're on right now is called Lenapehoking, which is the actual region of the Lenape people, and they call this island Mannahatta, FYI. And they're still here. While it's difficult to determine exactly how many Native Americans lived in North America before Columbus, scholars and anthropologists estimate what percentage of indigenous populations were wiped out after European settlement. A, up to 30%, B, up to 50%, C, up to 75%, or D, up to 90%? How many Native Americans were wiped out?
C. 75%.
Sadly, it's D, up to 90%. All right, what did the Europeans who landed on Plymouth Rock call themselves? A, Pilgrims, B, Separatists, C, Puritans, or D, Colonists?
A. Puritan.
No, D? Colonists? Oh, so wrong. Unfortunately, no. It was B, Separatists. The first Thanksgiving was celebrated in 1621 and has been observed on the 4th Thursday of November every year in America since. True or false?
True.
True? It's actually false. Oh my goodness. Thanksgiving actually wasn't established as a national holiday until 1863 during the Civil War.
Oh, what a fun gang. Welcome back, guys, to the heart of New York City and the heartfelt, ever durable Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Standing proudly together on 34th Street are the Wampanoag tribal members, along with ambassadors from various native nations across Turtle Island, also known as North America. The Wampanoag tribe has inhabited the eastern coast of present-day Massachusetts for more than 12,000 years. Following the first contact with colonizing settlers, the Wampanoag language was silenced for more than 150 years. However, through historical documents written by the Wampanoag people, their language and culture thrive today.
Yeah, a Lenape tribal member will now read a proclamation for the sustainable stewardship of the gifts of Mother Earth, also referred to as a land acknowledgement. This presentation will be followed by a Wampanoag blessing and the singing of a ceremonial rattle song performed by Brian and Anna Wan Whedon. And now, Opalanyatet Pierce.
Wamgamel Mohemo, greetings. The island we are standing on today, Mannahatta in New York, is part of a larger territory, Lenapehoking, home to many nations of the Lenape. These are some of the Native American nations who had first contact with Europeans and are among the longest continuous democracies on Earth.
Various tribal nations throughout this Turtle Island also call Mannahatta home. This land belongs to the Creator, yet it was given to First Peoples to steward. The many tribal nations of First Peoples, we're still here.
Manata nitson atik. Nakwatayana maman wami kiakwasunis. Nakwatayana maman lanapia at. Wata manahanatunas. Nakwatayana maman wami natonkwasat. Niwachi nowa ma natayanian. Yuyu natayanian. Kapish machimi natayanian. Anak.